Do you know your price for freedom? In other words, do you know the price that you need to charge for your services in order to have the freedom, flexibility, and lifestyle that you want? I'm Pia Silva. I help solopreneurs build badass businesses to achieve freedom in their lives. And one of the ways that you do that is by charging appropriately. And you cannot charge appropriately if you think that your price for freedom is as much as you can get. And that's what I see most small businesses, solopreneurs, that's what I see most of them charge. They just charge as much as they think they can get. And that is, sorry to say it, a terrible pricing strategy. I'm a numbers person. I like numbers. I like spreadsheets. I like efficiency. I like playing with Excel cells and auto adding them up. I love looking for ways to be more and more efficient. That's just naturally how I am. But I find that most people are not as into these things, which is totally fine. That's why I preach about this stuff so much. That's why I love talking about this stuff, because most of the people that I advise who are really expert and usually pretty creative in their field, and they do not like the numbers and they do not like Excel sheets. My partner and husband, Steve, Excel sheets give him nightmares, but I love them. And the reason I'm telling you this is because in order to find the price that you need to charge for freedom and flexibility in your life, you have to do a little bit of number crunching. I've done some of that legwork for you, and I actually have something that you guys can use. It's like a little tool that I built that's really fun, and you can just literally plug a couple numbers in and then it'll spit out your price. But I'll tell you about that in a second. But what I want to first say is, in order to figure out what your price is, it's really a ratio between how many hours you're working and how much you're getting paid for those hours. And even though I am completely against charging by the hour or getting paid hourly rates, I am completely against that. When you are a service provider, you are essentially trading dollars for hours in some capacity. What I'm saying I'm against is charging by the hour and really telling a client how long something takes and saying, because it takes 10 hours, I'm going to charge this much. Instead, and I talk about this in lots of other videos and everywhere, you got to charge based on value. But in order to figure out what that price point is for whatever that project is that you're charging for, you need to know how long it takes. You need to know how many hours there are in the day that are available for it, and then have a price point that matches up with that. And that seems really straightforward and obvious, but when I used to have a company that was much more bloated, would be the word, like an agency style company, I find that model to be very difficult to profit off of. I would get these really big, they felt like big contracts to me, $30,000 projects that would take 6 months, and I had no idea how much time they took. And it felt like a lot of money, because if you close a $30,000 project and you need money, it's like, whoa, $30,000, hallelujah, I'm rich. But then if you actually sit down and look at how much time you're spending, it turns out that you might be getting paid $20 an hour. And I could do a lot of other things and get paid more than $20 an hour. That would be a lot less work than running an agency. My creative partner did not want to track his hours. He didn't want to feel boxed in by it. But what I've found is actually knowing how long things take, or giving yourself a structure for how long something takes. It's very difficult to know that time. And so what I like to do is actually go in the reverse. Decide how much time, or analyze how much time projects take in general, and then actually create a structure and a process and a system where you don't spend more than that amount of time. You give yourself a wide berth, so there's a lot of space in that time that you've put aside for any given project at any given price, but you still have bookends to it. And if you create great processes and you're very clear on them, then you can very easily stay within that framework. Now, Steve used to tell me I must spend 60 hours just doing the creative brainstorming for logos before I even get somewhere great. I think that's a limiting belief, and I've learned to find out that is a limiting belief, because I've seen Steve pop off amazing logos in a couple of hours. He used to spend 60 hours just by principle doing the creative work because he thought that's what it took. Turns out sometimes the logos he would make in the very beginning would end up being the ones that ended up in the final presentation. I don't believe that time is what creates value. Yes, in a creative project, working on something a little bit more can create better and better results, and there's no denying that. And that's why you give yourself time to let that creativity flow. But it's also important to manage that time and know how much time you're giving to each project. If you want freedom. If you don't want freedom and you want to work all the time and not make a lot of money, by all means, don't track your time, have no idea how long things take, charge as much as you can, and see how that goes. But if you're you're ready to move away from that model, again, I call that the default model. If you don't like that model, it actually, I think, sucks creativity and energy out of people. Then what I recommend is knowing what that price is. You might not be at that price yet, but at least you'll know what it is. And then you have a clear goal. Oh, my project might take this much time and I might be charging this much right now, but what I want is to get there. I want to be charging that much for that project. And if I charge that much for that project, for example, at one point, I won't talk about it right now, but let's say at one point I was charging $10,000 for a 1-day brand up that took us 2 additional days to prepare for. So that was 3 full days of me and Steve's time for $10,000. Okay. That is really clear. That is so specific. I can now say, so for 3 full days of work for me and Steve, it's 2 people, $10,000. How many clients do I need in a year to make $100,000? $200,000. How many days out of that year will I be working for clients? Okay, well, I'm putting myself on the spot here. This shouldn't be hard though. $100,000, it's $10,000, so I need 10 clients. Oh, and I'm gonna be working 30 days. Wow, that was easy. That's literally what a business plan is. I'm gonna have 10 clients at $10,000 and each of them are gonna take 3 full days, and that's how I'm gonna make $100,000. Do you see how much simpler your whole life will be if you have a very clear idea of what you're gonna charge and how long it's gonna take you? You can now decide. When we got really good at this and our prices raised even more, we literally would take on, okay, I'm gonna take on 4 clients this month. This was when we were charging $15,000 for the 1 day. I'm gonna take on 4 clients this month. I'm gonna bust my butt, I'm gonna make a bunch of money, and then I'm just not gonna work for 4 months. We've done that many times, and it's so fun, and it's very freeing. It's that freedom thing again. I'm all about the freedom. It's very freeing. So you need to know what your price is. It's too mathematical and complicated for me to explain it to you, and I feel like I've tried to explain it many times, and people just, they're like, what are you talking about? So what I did was I made an Excel sheet, because I love Excel. I made an Excel sheet where you literally just plug in your numbers and then it pops out your number at the end. This is what you need to charge for those projects. Go to that Excel sheet, plug in your numbers, and see what your number is. And come back and comment here. If you want to share, that would be awesome. And tell me how far you are from it. Or if you're getting it. If you're getting your price for freedom right now, then the really exciting thing is that you can keep going. You can get even more freedom. You can make more money in even less time. So exciting. Come back and tell me what you find.